slides. So you'll get plenty of time for questions as the presentation's not too long, but for now, I'll kick it over to Jennifer to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Baromio. I'm currently a population health fellow at San Francisco Department of Public Health, and I was the last cohort's one of the participants or scholars of the SHARP program. Yeah, I'll kick it over to Grace.
Hello, I'm Grace. I am currently a population health fellow, just like Jen, and I am working with the Center for Substance Use and Health and also the CEBA team. So I'm doing some capacity building assistance and also some substance use research. And I was also a previous SHARP scholar in the last cohort, which was the summer of 2023. And then I'll go to Rakaya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rukaya. I am a population health fellow working with CLI and the Center for Data Science, and I'll be assisting with the SHARP program for this year.
Great, thanks. So I think that's everybody on our team. So we'll go ahead and start the presentation. And as Lauren said, plenty of time for questions at the end. If you have anything urgent, you can put it in the chat. So for now, I'll share my slides. Lauren, can you let me know if you can see that?
Yes, I can see. And then if there's any questions in the chat, I can just have you pause.
Okay, great.
Cool.
So,
you are in presenter mode, just so you know, so they can.
Yeah, let me swap that. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, great. Great. So I'm presenting this on behalf of my fellow co-director, Jonathan, who's not here. So this is an informational webinar for SHARP, which is a 10-week HIV training program located in San Francisco, specifically housed in the San Francisco Department of Public Health, which is a major, innovator and a very unique health department that really both functions at the health department and as a research institution in and of itself. And I'm at the medical school, UC San Francisco, but together we run the program, but it is housed at DPH. Our tagline is SHARP is a mentored research experience. And with that comes didactic training. So these are key seminars from experts in the field on various topics. You will get mentoring from experts in HIV research. And you will work toward building an applied independent research project, again, over the 10 weeks. And so our goal is really to help scholars pursue careers in HIV, substance use, and public and clinical health sciences. And we have a great track record of just really incredible, successful stories of individuals who have come through SHARP. And, Jen and Grace are the future here too. So it's a really great launching point, and you can see some pictures from last year and then some previous cohorts there. And that's my colleague Jonathan in the center with Dr. Kartika Pilar, who's a mentor as well. So to be eligible for the program, you have to be enrolled in a four-year college or university. The program is a paid full-time position through the first week of June, second week of August, with housing available if you need it. If you're not from the Bay Area and we will require housing, we can provide housing. It's usually an apartment, a student apartment in Berkeley, but there may be other options available. So with that, you need to be able to be eligible to work in the US. You don't have to be a citizen, but you need to be eligible to work in the US. If you have any questions about your eligibility for employment, let us know. We have our call for applications, which is, I believe it's now open, but we'll close in February. You will submit, so on the website, you will see instructions for your essays. To submit those statements, we will request transcripts and letters of recommendation. Again, please follow the instructions. Those details are really important, including, page limits, who can write a letter for you, copies of your transcripts are fine. And that will get a formal review after the February deadline. And so since 2012, we've had about 5 to 7, usually 6, but sometimes one less. Sometimes we're lucky and can afford one more position each year. We get over 100 applications each year, sometimes on the low end of 100, sometimes on the really high end of, closer to 175. So it's a really competitive process, but for us, we really use a holistic criteria. So we're looking specifically for the perspective that you bring, and GPA and prior research experience or not, work experience, volunteer experience, all of that counts towards providing us with a picture of who you are as a person and the perspective and insights you would bring. So we use that. It's not just about your GPA. So the way the program works is that all the 6 scholars once we do an initial review of applications, we will do phone interviews. From phone interviews, we will do Zoom interviews or in-person interviews if you're around the Bay Area. And so once we do those 3 interview processes, we then move to, sorry, the kid just came into the office. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Yes. Manav, can you go back? Manav, thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we will know a little bit about your interest and your background, and then we will pair you with a mentor on our side who's either DPH or UCSF faculty or investigator to be your primary mentor. And you will work with your mentor to develop your own project from start to finish. And so this will go through the process of, if you're interested, say, in working with the trans population and interested in issues of housing, we will try to find the mentor who does that. And we have a really robust network of experts who cover all areas of substance use, HIV, sort of public health research. So we can really pick a really great mentor who's got the niche expertise that you might be interested in learning from. So they will work to develop a research question, analyze the data, and then present the data, which is your formal graduation at the end of the program, which is the second Friday in August. So the top photo there is the sort of presentation ballroom upstairs in 25 Van Ness, which is a really cool building. So you present formally into a scientific audience, and we do a lot of preparation to get you there. So it's a really intensive, but a really great learning experience over the 10 weeks or 11 weeks. And so at the end of the day, it's really about learning what it's like to have a life as a researcher for the summer. The mornings are filled with seminars that we put together, again, covering topics of like survey research, statistics 101 to qualitative research. And then we move into the topical issues around the latest research on HIV prevention, HIV treatment, HIV cure, substance use, treatment of mental illness, et cetera. And so you do a session in the morning on one of those topics, usually around 4 times a week, there's a lecture. And then in the midday, you commute to either UCSF or another location to work on your projects. And then you engage in team meetings with both the cohort you're with Lauren, who's here, with your mentoring team. We do tours of laboratories, research sites, community events, team building events, and attend different colloquium. And so for us, the way we evaluate this program is we use several metrics. Each year, we have scholars complete a baseline interview and then an interview or survey and then a baseline exit survey at the end of the program. Our mentors are also evaluated to make sure that they are providing high quality mentoring. You get to be a part of a high impact sort of network of alumni who are working in various settings. I have scholars all the time call me, say, hey, I want to work on issues of Medicaid expansion in rural counties. And so we go and find somebody who we know who does that now, and they can have them have a phone call to kind of provide insights on that. So we can provide a lot of networking, and that's all part of our evaluation to track where our scholars go. And many scholars continue to publish in national conferences and peer-reviewed publications, which is also a big goal of ours. And so we have 2 scholars today that if you have questions specifically for them, you can type them in the chat or let us know. So Grace is here. Grace project last year was great. She studied the antecedents to stimulant toxicity deaths in San Francisco and was providing data on key informants. and was able to do some qualitative data analysis. It was really fascinating, Grace, to see sort of the different sort of sources of data to try to unpack sort of what are the antecedents to these toxicity deaths, and kind of providing a really nuanced picture of what's going on in San Francisco. And she got mentored by Dr. Philip Coffin, who's a sort of renowned expert in this area, and Vanessa McMahon as well, who's an outstanding scientist from DPH. And then Jen was examining the association of perceived alcohol-related stigma and biomarker-measured alcohol consumption, which is in Uganda, which is a really interesting idea that we now might have biomarker-based measures to capture whether or not people are consuming, the level of alcohol that they are consuming, to better estimate hazardous drinking, to better understand whether interventions are reducing alcohol rather than self-report. Jen was looking at a unique biomarker. So it was a global health project. It was in stigma, and it was people living with HIV in Uganda, and she was doing quantitative data analysis. And she got to work with a postdoc named Dr. Cristina Espinosa da Silva, who's fantastic, and then Dr. Judy Hahn, who's a colleague of mine at UCSF. So if you have questions about their experience, please let them know at the end of this. And so here are some pictures of the several events around town. They did a photo voice adaptation, I believe, last year, going around the city and taking photos to capture their experience. And so we have a collection of those photos as well. And so with that, that's sort of the nuts and bolts of the program. And I'll let Jen and Grace say a few words if they want. But on this last slide, second to last slide, these are the most common questions we get. And so I just wanted to preemptively provide some information on them. And so common question: what makes a good application? Attention to detail is very, very important. Sort of the motto is, if you do the small things right, then it means you care about doing the big things right. And if you don't do the small things right, then we start to question sort of the quality of the big things. And so really pay attention to those details in terms of your essays that you're writing, the instructions, the eligibility. Make your applications look really nice. Tell the story of who you are. That's just as important as what you've done. So I think a good balance of that makes a really strong application. I'll let Grace and Jen talk about what the day in the life of a scholar is. But as I mentioned, it's a full-time job, and it's Monday through Friday. Sometimes there's weekend events that we ask you all to attend, so we will cut your schedule short during the week, so you can attend a weekend event. But it's a full-time gig, and so you have to be committed to working that full-time schedule from June to August. Again, in terms of who your mentor is, that is based on specifically what you're interested in learning. Now, more often than not, we have the ability to make really good matches in terms of you're interested in 2 or 3 topics, and we have that expert who does that research on those 2 or 3 topics. Sometimes, it might be they have the topical expertise. Maybe it's in substance use treatment in working with women, but they specialize in working with Black African American women specifically. And so maybe you don't necessarily, that wasn't what you were thinking the population you'd work with, but you would still have a great experience and you would learn. And so sometimes there's a slight sort of variation in terms of the mentor-mentee matches in terms of research interest, but this is going to be the 12th year. And honestly, we've never changed a mentor and a mentee match before. In terms of there being misfits. So we have a really good track record of pairing people together based on your application materials. If you don't have a good project in mind at the start, that's totally fine. That's part of the process, is learning, coming in with sort of eager to learn and ready to take on new things. You will be working with your mentor's data that is already collected. Again, because it's a 10-week program, you do not have time to go out and collect primary data. So you have data that has already been collected, and part of the process is learning how to ask a research question, carve out that question, and then go to the data and work with it in a way that you could answer that question. And so that's part of the 10-week process, is to develop a project. And so you do not have to come in to the program with the project in mind. And then overall, what makes a good experience, again, being open-minded, being eager to learn, asking a lot of questions, and being a good team player, and working to support the scholars who are all going through this experience with you. And again, over 12 years, 100% retention. People who start finish, about half of the people who graduate from our program go on to graduate of medical school. Even more continue to work in the Department of Public Health. A lot of publications, a lot of people working in the jobs that really launch from this program. So we're really proud of that component, to be training the next generation. And so we're grateful to our colleagues, current and past, directors, coordinators, all the volunteers at DPH and UCSF. Funding for this is provided through the National Institutes of Health, specifically NIDA. It's our grant. It's a 5-year grant. And so we're in the 2nd year of the 3rd cycle. Here's the website for more information. And if you have any questions, you can contact us directly or Lauren. And so with that, I will stop sharing my screen. And I will first ask, while you all think of questions, Jen and Grace to briefly describe sort of the day in the life of a scholar, and then what advice you have now that you're on the other side, in terms of applying for the program. So maybe start with Jen.
All right. Yeah. So as Dr. Susaida said, the day in life in the program, or as a Sharp Scholar, mornings typically start with seminars. So you'll have guest speakers come from either Dr. Susaida or Dr. Fuchs's network, whether they're from UCSF or DPH, or even other networks that they have and colleagues that they have from all over, come to talk to us about anything HIV related, whether that's PrEP or any studies that are going on regarding HIV, really understanding that history of HIV in the beginning of the program, and then getting more detailed seminars around HIV in regards to treatment and what's happening that's new in HIV research, as well as substance use. So as you all know, San Francisco has a pretty big substance use crisis right now. So there's a lot of topics surrounding that and how the Department of Public Health is moving forward with handling the situation. Yeah, and I guess my advice is to really take the 10 weeks, get to know your peers, because that peer support, that cohort cohesion and support really comes in clutch when you're all going through the last few weeks trying to finish your projects, and just trying to relate to one another, trying to help each other, because even though your projects may be different and everyone's going to be on different paths throughout the 10 weeks, like somebody may still be working on a research question, somebody may already moved on and started working on the literature review, but knowing that you guys are all similarly on the same path at the end of the 10 weeks, and to just be there to support each other, as well as make those connections in the networks that are available for you, because everyone's really just there to help you be where you want to be at the end of the program. Yeah, Grace.
I loved your summary, Jen. I feel like you summarized it perfectly in the day-to-day life. Like, we definitely have a great variety of morning seminars and different lectures that come in, and they were always so just helpful to us and really breaking down all of the different subjects, and just provided like a great breadth of information to us, especially since we're all new to public health research. And so there's not going to be like a barrier of entry if you're new to this subject. And I would say, like, after our morning seminars, we would always just kind of either be working at our different sites, we would go and shadow different people. We always had a really good variety in our everyday. So whether we're like young and we're going to be working 40 hours a week, which does sound very intimidating, but it's not going to get monotonous. You're always going to have something new and fun that you can do. And I think like having our cohort of 6 people was so beneficial to me and Jen, and being able to have that type of camaraderie and being able to do like our community tours together, or just always on Fridays having some type of event for us to all do together was very, very fun. And I would say that my piece of advice that I would give is that I think it sounds intimidating, like getting into this and starting out and doing research full time, but I did not know what my project was going to be going into this. And so don't think that you have to have like some grandiose sense before you get in here. Like you're here to learn, and everybody is just so supportive and so great. And I had an amazing relationship with my mentors, and now I'm still working with them. And so really coming in just with curiosity, I think, is the biggest piece of advice I'd give.
Great, thanks, Grace. So with that, we'll open up to any questions, and unless Lauren, you have responses to things in the chat that I haven't kept up with.
Yeah, there were a couple questions. So one of the questions was, do we have to be currently enrolled? And what if we graduate in the spring? So yes, you should be currently enrolled, and or you can have graduated within 2 years. So if you graduated last year, 2022, you have till 2025, technically speaking, to apply for the program. And we had one student who was actually who had just recently graduated, well, graduated 2 years prior, participate this year, and then both Jennifer and Grace graduated right before they started the program last year. So, and then we had like a student that was a sophomore and a student that was a junior. So it's not like it's geared towards anyone specific. So yeah, just wanted to make sure I answered that. I got that question twice, so I'm gonna skip over that one. And then someone asked about the references. It's just that do we have to submit, essentially we're asking if we have to submit more than one. So what's happening with the references is you do need one person to submit one recommendation letter. That's required for the application. And then as later on in the process, you will have to do a reference check for your employment. And so that's why we just ask for it up front so that we can keep the process as smooth as possible. So that's why there's two, but you only need one to submit the application and for it to be done. Hopefully that makes sense. And then there's one more question: for any other conferences, where are they located? I'm a commuter, so just wanting to get a grasp of what the commute will be like. So I guess to answer that question, everyone gets a Clipper card as a part of the program. So if you don't know what Clipper is, it's the local transit card that we use. So for the summer, your bus fare, BART fare, Caltrains, whoever takes Clipper in the Bay Area is paid for, and you don't have to worry about that. So that's not something you have to worry about, whether you're local or if you're from out of state. It does not matter. Everyone gets a Clipper card. And then as far as conferences, we have one student that's going to a conference in LA and we're paying for it. So we're taking care of that for them. They're going to the COUGH conference. And then Grace over here is actually applying to go to one or two conferences. So there is some continuity to, working with our program, and you still work with the mentors. It's not like it's a clean cutoff. We all want to work with you. And that support doesn't stop just because you're not a Sharpie anymore. So.
Yeah, sorry, and just to clarify, so it's in-person work in downtown San Francisco off 10th and Mission. So what formerly was, I don't know if the Twitter building's still the Twitter building, but it's right behind the Twitter building. Sorry for a second. So yeah, you have to commit to coming to work every day, Monday through Friday. There are some days when you work from home, but that's I guess decided upon once once people are selected. So that's definitely after the fact you've been selected, but for the most part, you have to plan to be able to come in every day. And again, housing is available for those who need it. And then on the GPA front, again, it's a balance of essays, GPA, letters of recommendation, and then how well your perspective comes through in your essays. And so all of that is taken into account. So there's definitely individuals who have lower GPAs than others, but in their story, there's an explanation. There's a story about how they learned about a challenge they faced and why their GPA is what it is. So they provide the context for helping us understand who they are and you know why their grades are what they are. Again, you could have somebody with a 4.0 who has horrible essays. That's that's not going to do anybody any good either. So we take into account a lot of different factors. And
The only thing I did want to mention also is that everyone does also attend the International AIDS Conference. So everyone does get it as a part of the program. You do have the chance to attend an international conference. Of course, you're not going to Germany. We would love to send you to Germany. I would love to go to Germany, but yeah, it's virtual, so you will get the chance to attend the International AIDS Conference in addition to the regular programming. I see a hand up for Mimi, and then I think after that, I will let um, Grace and Jennifer answer the question from Leanne.
My question was just, are most of the participants, did they major specifically in public health, or do you guys have participants who are like I'm personally microbiology, but I'm interested in public health? Like, what's that breakdown?
This summer we had an ethnic studies student, so it does not necessarily have to be strictly public health
Grace,
or
Grace
micro.
was microbiology too.
I studied cell and molecular biology, and then I minored in queer ethnic studies. So there is a good variety of us who are not public health majors. I think there's also somebody who was biochem, and then something else too. I feel like major doesn't matter as much.
I think Jennifer might have actually been the only student
Public
that
health.
graduated with public health.
Yeah.
No, it's not only me. But yeah, there's a wide range of
Yeah.
folks.
Plus.
Yeah.
Juliana.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, that's
two.
right. That's right.
Two out of the six, but that still shows you that it's a wide range. It's not just public health students.
Again, tell your story. Why are you studying microbiology or et cetera? And why do you want to do public health? Like filling that gap for us helps us give a picture of who you are and what you want to do and where you're going. And so we're really interested in learning about sort of that. So explaining that the why is really, really important in your application. How do we prove submit
Just
testing?
to quickly answer Sarah's question, so it's required for employment. So we employ through Haluna Health, and so they require that at the as we're doing the verification process, that you have to have the COVID vaccine. They do have exemptions and exceptions, but those are far and few in between. So I don't want you to think that necessarily like it's a guarantee that you're going to get that. And if you can't get it, then we can't have you in the program, even if we select you. So I do want to be very clear with that. Yeah. And then I will let Jennifer and Grace answer Leanne's question.
Yeah. For Leanne's question, I feel like it also kind of goes with Mimi's question of before I did this program, I was mainly doing cell biology research and I hadn't really done anything with public health. And so I feel like in my essays, I really broke down a lot of the personal experiences that make me want to go into public health research. And I talked a lot about my minor in queer ethnic studies and about how that coursework exposed me to different papers that I was interested in and has really motivated me to work with populations specifically in San Francisco, which is where I live. And so I really expressed just like a passion that I have to do research and to transition into public health and why I want to make that transition with this program specifically.
I agree with Grace. A lot of it has to do with like personal experience. Personally, I'm born and raised in San Francisco, and I think that was also a factor into knowing, like working in my community and knowing what's happening in the city, and wanting to work at SFTPH and wanting to get that exposure, know what the health department, how the health department works, and all the different resources. I've already navigated a lot for my own personal um, experiences in navigating health services. So that was one of them, I think, and also just what I've done with my lived experience as well, like getting involved in communities, the different internships or what's it called, like work experience that I have, my connections to a lot of the community-based organizations in San Francisco, um, as well as prior research experience in my university. So I went to a small private university in Marin, and so I got a lot of research exposure through just coursework. I know people overlook your coursework, like your normal homework that they assign you, but that's experience. Getting to work with data, whether it's just data you play around with for classes, or maybe you've even worked with real life data already. So yeah, just don't overlook your um, coursework.
Yeah, I also want to add too that one of like the experiences that I talked about was not even like public health work experience before. It was like me working at a coffee shop in the area and like how much that taught me. Like you can be very dynamic with what you want to talk about with your essays as long as you're just showing passion and motivation. Like don't be intimidated or feel like you have to talk in a specific way. Like have it just be you.
Great advice.
Sorry, were you gonna say something? I think you unmuted for a second, but Leanne,
I was just
right?
gonna
Or Jen?
reiterate,
Okay.
I was just gonna reiterate, like every experience or every work experience could be applied. It's just how you like apply it and making sure that like you shine through those stories.
Other questions from anybody? We're always available by email if anything pops up that you can't think of today. Seeing none. Lauren, I'll let you close it out. And then, yeah, we're available. So send us your questions.
Yes. So we put in the chat the info at Sharp email. So if you have any questions, feel free to email us there. The application's also in the chat. Jennifer and Grace, if you don't mind sharing your DPH email so that folks can reach out to you directly if they have questions more about experience. Definitely if you have like programmatic, what's going to happen in the program, me or John, but if you're more of like what's the experience like, Jennifer or Grace are probably going to be your better bets. Application is due on February 2nd. That's both for your recommendation letter and for your application. So please submit that. If you have questions about the application, again, feel free to reach out. But if there aren't any last questions, 30 seconds. Cool. If not, I will let you all go. I'll hang around for a few. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sarah.
Sorry, I was just wondering because it keeps being said recommendation letter. Is that the recommendation form or the form and a letter?
So they fill out the form and well, when you send over the form, it'll basically tell them to email it. So it's gonna essentially be a letter. But yeah. Any other questions? Don't be shy. No, go. No. This is your time to
So,
shine.
my like primary recommendation is my supervisor. So I just want to know what to tell her because I said like, oh, probably submit it like mid-January. But so does she copy paste everything into the email or does she submit a PDF of like her responses in the text boxes?
The PDF is probably going to be easier for us personally to manipulate, but to be honest with you, I'm very low barrier in my approach to everything. So, I mean, if you get it to me, I'm going to make it work. Of course, best practice is PDF though.
Okay.
Any other questions? Check in chat. Cool. I'll be around for a couple minutes. So if you're like, I was too shy to ask the question to everyone, I can be here. If you want me to create a breakout room too, I can do that too. But I'll be here for the next few minutes. Cool. Have a good day. Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm gonna turn off the
Thank
recording.
you.
Turn the recording